How wonderful it is that nobody need wait a single moment before starting to improve the world. Anne Frank's Tales from the Secret Annex, a collection of her short stories, fables, and lesser-known writings. It's really a wonder that I haven't dropped up all my ideals, because they seem so absurd and impossible to carry out. Yet I keep them, because in spite of everything, I still believe that people are really good at heart. Anne Frank, The Diary of a Young Girl. Think of all the beauty still left around you and be happy. Anne Frank. I can shake off everything as I write, my sorrows disappear, my courage is reborn. Anne Frank. I've found that there is always some beauty left, in nature, sunshine, freedom, in yourself. These can all help you. Anne Frank, The Diary of a Young Girl. No one has ever become poor by giving. Anne Frank, Diary of Anne Frank, the play. I don't think of all the misery, but of the beauty that still remains. Anne Frank, The Diary of a Young Girl. Parents can only give good advice or put them on the right paths, but the final forming of a person's character lies in their own hands. Anne Frank. The best remedy for those who are afraid, lonely or unhappy is to go outside, somewhere where they can be quite alone with the heavens, nature and God. Because only then does one feel that all is as it should be and that God wishes to see people happy, amidst the simple beauty of nature. As long as this exists, and it certainly always will, I know that then there will always be comfort for every sorrow, whatever the circumstances may be. And I firmly believe that nature brings solace in all troubles. Anne Frank, The Diary of a Young Girl. Because paper has more patience than people. Anne Frank. Look at how a single candle can both defy and define the darkness. Anne Frank. People can tell you to keep your mouth shut, but that doesn't stop you from having your own opinion. Anne Frank, The Diary of a Young Girl. Whoever is happy will make others happy. Anne Frank, The Diary of a Young Girl. In the long run, the sharpest weapon of all is a kind and gentle spirit. Anne Frank, The Diary of Anne Frank. Where there's hope, there's life. It fills us with fresh courage and makes us strong again. Anne Frank, The Diary of a Young Girl. In spite of everything, I still believe that people are really good at heart. Anne Frank. I don't want to have lived in vain like most people. I want to be useful or bring enjoyment to all people, even those I've never met. I want to go on living even after my death. Anne Frank. Women should be respected as well. Generally speaking, men are held in great esteem in all parts of the world, so why shouldn't women have their share? Soldiers and war heroes are honored and commemorated, explorers are granted immortal fame, martyrs are revered, but how many people look upon women too as soldiers? Women, who struggle and suffer pain to ensure the continuation of the human race, make much tougher and more courageous soldiers than all those big-mouthed freedom-fighting heroes put together. Anne Frank, The Diary of a Young Girl. I think a lot, but I don't say much. Anne Frank, The Diary of a Young Girl. We all live with the objective of being happy, our lives are all different and yet the same. Anne Frank. A quiet conscience makes one strong. Anne Frank, The Diary of a Young Girl. In spite of everything, I still believe that people are really good at heart. I simply can't build up my hopes on a foundation consisting of confusion, misery, and death. I see the world gradually being turned into a wilderness, I hear the ever-approaching thunder, which will destroy us too. I can feel the sufferings of millions, and yet, if I look up into the heavens, I think that it will all come right, that this cruelty too will end, and that peace and tranquility will return again. Anne Frank, The Diary of a Young Girl. You can be lonely even when you are loved by many people, since you are still not anybody's one and only. Anne Frank, The Diary of a Young Girl. Although I'm only 14, I know quite well what I want, I know who is right and who is wrong. I have my opinions, my own ideas and principles, and although it may sound pretty mad from an adolescent, I feel more of a person than a child, I feel quite independent of anyone. Anne Frank, The Diary of Anne Frank. As long as this exists, this sunshine and this cloudless sky, and as long as I can enjoy it, how can I be sad? Anne Frank, The Diary of a Young Girl. But feelings can't be ignored, no matter how unjust or ungrateful they seem. Anne Frank, The Diary of a Young Girl. Human greatness does not lie in wealth or power, but in character and goodness. People are just people, and all people have faults and shortcomings, but all of us are born with a basic goodness. Anne Frank. There's only one rule you need to remember: laugh at everything and forget everybody else. It sounds egotistical, but it's actually the only cure for those suffering from self-pity. Anne Frank, The Diary of a Young Girl. Memories mean more to me than dresses. Anne Frank. Those who have courage and faith shall never perish in misery. Anne Frank.